Marcus Aurelius is usually regarded as being both one of the most influential and well-known Stoic thinkers in history. He reigned as Emperor of Rome from 161 to 180 after the birth of Christ, making him the last of the 5 good emperors to hold that position. At the time, he was in a position that made him one of the most powerful people in the world. If he so wanted, he could give in to any and all of his temptations and have any and all of his wishes satisfied. However, he made the decision to spend his whole life working for justice and fairness. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius are a series of autobiographical writings that have developed to become one of the most important works in the canon of Stoic philosophy. Aurelius managed to find the time to compose these essays when he was in power. Aurelius describes in the Meditations how to-do lists and self-improvement books were primarily concerned with adopting a cosmic vision and critically examining one's judgment of both others and oneself. Aurelius employed his own Stoic philosophy as the king of a powerful empire that experienced a number of conflicts in order to let go of stress and concern and to be the most competent and trustworthy leader he could be under such circumstances. Stoicism, which is a very well-known and ancient school of philosophical thought, is not just a theory, but also an extremely inspiring style of thinking and behaving that has been around for a very long time. The Stoics held the firm conviction that moral behavior was the key to achieving one's own personal fulfillment, and that moral behavior required the use of sound judgment and clear-headed reasoning. Improve your awareness and how you see things. The first thing you should do is improve your point of view. Marcus Aurelius gives the following piece of advice: choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel any harm. Stoicism teaches that one of the most valuable teachings is to exercise self-control over one's perspective. You have no need to be hurt, and in fact, you haven't been. We are used to forming opinions on everything that we come into contact with, including other people, events, and situations. Each one gets a value rating. For example, anything may be deemed to have been either excellent or awful, fascinating or boring, beautiful or ugly. We are completely unaware of the fact that this is a very taxing endeavor that has the potential to adversely affect our lives. If you are having a very challenging day, for example, and you regard every encounter you have as being negative, then the day as a whole will appear much more challenging. If you attend a party and characterize it as dull, then it won't be boring for the rest of the week. It will only be that one event. Because we commonly let our emotions influence our first evaluations of situations, it is safe to assume that these evaluations are not entirely objective. In addition, we have a penchant to talk in metaphors and exaggerations that make circumstances look worse. This tendency, which goes hand in hand with our inclination to judge every moment of our life, makes it appear as though the situation is much worse than it really is. If your partner breaks up with you, you might say that they broke your heart, rather of referring to the fact that they no longer feel the same way about you as they did in the past, by stating that they dumped you. The way that you think and the words that you say may have an effect on how you feel. The manner in which you unconsciously choose to think about the event rather than the actual occurrence itself is what causes you to have bad sensations. Stoicism, on the other hand, encourages individuals to use prudence when making judgments and to give everything they come across due consideration. One of the ways to practice caution is to undo your judgments, which is shorthand for seeing beyond them in order to view things through a lens that is more optimistic and fair. You may attempt a view of that boring gathering as a chance to go to a new place and talk to some interesting new people. Make a conscious effort not to pass judgment on other people. You weren't expecting anything horrible to happen, so it's okay if you find out later that you didn't really connect with anybody, but you weren't expecting anything good to happen either. The most effective way to start retraining your perspective on life is to make it a habit to refrain from passing judgment on anything based on your first instinct or emotion about it. Whenever you find yourself having an opinion on anything, make an effort to pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this rational? What is the foundation for my opinion? Is there a more accurate or uplifting interpretation of this? Marcus Aurelius underlined that the only way for wrongs to occur is for people to think of them in that way. This suggests that each challenging experience you've had looks significantly more challenging the more challenging you perceive the situation to be. As a direct consequence of this, you have full control over the extent to which certain conditions have an impact on you. You are also encouraged by the Stoics to search for the opportunity or source of good in every adverse occurrence. The development of a Stoic outlook necessitates taking the challenge of turning the obstacle on its head. When a new co-worker is a slow learner and their mistakes impact the bottom line of the company, you may find yourself feeling irritated. The efforts that you and your company are making to be successful, efficient, and lucrative are being hampered by this person. But there is also the possibility that this condition may lead to something positive. You will have the opportunity to improve your patience, become a more effective educator, learn how to integrate new workers into the team, and get experience in dealing with difficult circumstances. Is there another way of looking at this that is more enlightening or accurate? Marcus Aurelius underlined that the only way for wrongs to occur is for people to think of them in that way. This suggests that each challenging experience you've had looks significantly more challenging the more challenging you perceive the situation to be. As a direct consequence of this, you have full control over the extent to which certain conditions have an impact on you. You are also encouraged by the Stoics to search for the opportunity or source of good in every adverse occurrence. The development of a Stoic outlook necessitates taking the challenge of turning the obstacle on its head. When a new co-worker is a slow learner and their mistakes impact the bottom line of the company, you may find yourself feeling irritated. The efforts that you and your company are making to be successful, efficient, and lucrative are being hampered by this person. But there is also the possibility that this condition may lead to something positive. You will have the opportunity to improve your patience, become a more effective educator, learn how to integrate new workers into the team, and get experience in dealing with difficult circumstances. You should be able to generate more money in the long term as a result of all of these qualities, and they should be useful in the future as well. According to the legend, Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action." In connection to this issue, what stands in the way of anything finally becomes the way. In conclusion, rather of giving a negative evaluation to everything you come into contact with, take the time to look at things in an impartial manner. There is a possibility that you may find that life is less complicated and more obvious than you had first assumed. Every situation may be construed both negatively and positively, depending on how you look at it. After you have made the required mental changes, nothing will irritate you to the same degree as it did before, and you will find that your life runs much more smoothly. Train yourself to control your emotions. The second thing you need to learn is how to control your emotions. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to heed his words and not give in to the temptation of letting our emotions triumph over what our rational brains are teaching us. Put a stop to your hypocrisy, as well as your selfishness and your short temper. It seems to reason that behaving irrationally is commonly portrayed as being in stark contrast to behaving out of emotion, since this makes the most sense. Nothing may cloud our judgment more than our own sentiments, and as a result, the ability to manage your emotions is one of the most important skills to cultivate if you want to be able to think clearly at all times. Marcus Aurelius held the view, contrary to the prevalent opinion or beliefs of his day, that anger, in particular, results in more negative outcomes than positive ones. To effectively manage your feelings, you do not need to repress them. It is impossible to stifle intense rage brought on by a betrayal, by lying to yourself or others about how you are feeling, or by pretending that everything is okay when the wrath is already welling up inside of you. You may try to force it as much as you like, but it will still be there. Stoic philosophy says that one may master one's emotions, such as fury, by diverting those feelings' energy in a new direction. Therefore, the next time you find yourself feeling furious, think about what you can do with that anger. Even while it could be tempting, it's important to consider whether or not ranting at the person who hurt you would really help you in any way. Will it make the person who lied to you and hurt you a better person? In other words, think about the things you are tempted to do, and then ask yourself whether those things would really be beneficial. If this is not possible, you should seek for healthy methods to express your emotions. If you talk to the person who hurt you about how you're feeling and make an effort to see things from their point of view, you could have more success in getting what you want. You might also write your thoughts down in a journal, engage in physical activity, play a video game, or engage in any other activity that you believe could assist you in releasing your anger at a later time. Take the feelings of worry or dread as another example. You are able to guide it, but you will not have the ability to merely press it down. You don't have to let your anxiety prevent you from living your life by allowing it to keep you from doing the things that make you feel it, and by failing to recognize its existence in every aspect of your life. Let's imagine you're too nervous to ask your boss for a raise because of the fear of rejection. A lot of individuals make an excuse out of this sort of anxiousness so that they may avoid taking action and give in to their anxieties instead. Some people may be able to cope with the situation and recognize that their anxiety is something that should be repressed and ignored in order to make progress, since it is preventing them from going ahead. Nevertheless, none of those things has to be the case. You may instead choose to communicate your anxiety in a constructive manner, which could even turn out to be useful. For example, nervousness makes you think about everything that may possibly go wrong. This may lead you to consider all of the possible questions your employer could ask, as well as all of the potential rebuttals to those questions. In this manner, you will be able to be ready for them and devise a strategy to deal with any and all potential outcomes. To really do it, to challenge yourself and grow as a person, to prove to yourself that you are capable of doing it, and to take the step not in spite of your fear, but in part because of it acts as a great incentive. And in that scenario, you have the option of being fully aware of your nervousness the whole time and telling yourself, how awesome it is that I'm trying this anyway. When you are able to readily redirect intense emotions, you will be able to keep your composure no matter what happens, and your emotions will never be able to hinder your ability for rational reasoning and making decisions that are in your best interests. Emotional self-control is the key to living a life with more peace and quiet. Perform the exercise on the control dichotomy, also known as the duality of control. The dichotomy of control is the distinction between what we are able to control and what we are not able to manage. Marcus Aurelius reportedly observed, "You have control over your thinking, not external events. If you come to terms with this, you will discover the strength to go on. You, for example, have no control over the weather, the flow of traffic, or the views of other people. You, on the other hand, have some control over how you present yourself, when you leave, and the people you hang out with." Asking yourself, what am I in control of? And taking action for everything you can influence is important to do whenever a situation comes that leads you to feel a particular way. Learn to accept and embrace all that you are unable to alter, and do so without allowing it to have an effect on you. If you are able to see the difference between these two things and react appropriately, you will immediately be able to clear your mind of any negativity. Love for destiny, also known as amor fati, is an essential part of the dualistic concept of control. If you can learn to be grateful for all that life throws at you, you will never stop loving it. You can't control your circumstances or prevent destiny, but you can choose to appreciate your life despite whatever comes your way. In the event that your application for a job that you have been seeking for many years is unsuccessful, you could think that there is no way out of the situation. You applied for the position, but you were not successful. It is hard to give the appearance of loving one's destiny in this circumstance. However, you are misreading the situation here. Instead of seeing the fact that you weren't able to attain your objective as a wholly bad experience, you should investigate what led to the unfavorable result and utilize this investigation's findings to influence a positive course of action. Either you did not perform up to expectations, which is the reason why you were not selected for the position. In this scenario, you have some say over the outcome. If an opportunity that is similar to the one you missed comes up in the future, you may work on improving those areas of weakness and try again. Nepotism, or a personality clash between a candidate and a member of the recruiting team, is another possibility that might be the root of the problem. There is no use in getting worked up over something that has never been, since you have never had any influence over it, which means the opportunity to do so has never truly presented itself. One component of accepting your destiny is detaching oneself from a conclusion that has already been reached and from markers of success that are visibly to others. You are going to make your success contingent on the capricious conditions of the book market at the moment. For instance, if you want to be a writer and measure your success by the number of books that you sell, you are not in control of your own success. However, if you want to measure it based on how satisfied you are with the end product or how much work you put into it, you are in control of your own success. Therefore, you should make it a point to put in as much effort as possible in order to achieve your objectives. Yet you should also keep in mind the potential that you will not be successful in doing so, and be prepared to accept this option in advance. If a person makes a vow to accept everything else in life as it is and just focuses their attention on the things they can control, then they will discover that they are able to maintain their composure no matter what happens. Recognize the positive qualities. Take up the good qualities. This is the fourth and last lesson. One way to think of a virtue is as the completion of one's character, or to put it more simply, as the conduct of being morally upright. Marcus Aurelius said, "Delve deep within yourself, for a wellspring of goodness is ready to gush forth if you persist in your quest." Such actions are advantageous to you, the people around you, and the greater good. Stoicism embraces the notion of a connected universe in which everyone and everything has a connection. As a result, doing what is for the greater good ultimately benefits you. As a result, the Stoics were adamant that individuals who committed themselves to society's welfare were those who were most in tune with reason. In other words, they lived by their morals. The Stoics, on the other hand, believe that ignorance was to blame for the lack of virtue. Virtues can be your guiding stars, keeping you on the right path and grounded when life throws you into unexpected situations. Because of this, those who are most endowed with virtue frequently exude calm and calmness. One must absorb the 4 Stoic cardinal virtues of wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage in order to embody virtue. The ability to discriminate between good, bad, neutral, and everything in between is what is meant by wisdom, according to the Stoics. It requires overcoming the influence of feelings and letting reason decide what is morally right. When faced with a choice, intelligence enables you to weigh both possibilities objectively. Justice comes next. Justice is built on wisdom, which is a dedication to what is fair and appropriate for both oneself and other people. The Stoic saw it as a responsibility to oneself, one's fellow people, and society at large. The third virtue, courage, enables action even in the presence of one's own dread. It encourages you to embark on things despite not knowing how they will turn out, or to act for the greater good. Courage is the deliberate choice to move forward despite emotional obstacles, rather than the elimination of fear, desire, or anxiety. Last but not least, temperance, which is more commonly known as moderation, refers to the practice of maintaining a middle ground between extremes. It requires the use of discipline, restraint, and self-control. Marcus Aurelius emphasized how our ability to self-regulate sets us apart from other animals. Temperance prioritizes long-term well-being over momentary pleasure. Consider a bag of chips. In this situation, practicing self-control means stopping after just a few bites. The appropriate quantity to take before calling it quits is defined by wisdom. Consuming the whole bag could bring some short-term pleasure, but it puts one's health and even mood in risk. Stoicism divides things and actions into three categories: good, bad, and indifferent, according to personal inclination. The guiding principles were to seek good, shun evil, and embrace indifference. These values promote a calm, collected state in addition to personal improvement. You can always walk the virtuous path led by reason and cultivate a calm mind if your acts are in line with these virtues. Adopting a bigger picture viewpoint. Fifth lesson, adopt a broader viewpoint whenever you want. To converse about individuals, it's best to take a bird's-eye view and see everything at once, as Marcus Aurelius says in our final quotation from Plato. Adopting a wide-angle vision is a really vital component of developing mental clarity. In the craziness of life, we frequently find ourselves enmeshed in every problem, each problem seeming to carry the weight of the entire globe. Imagine yourself in a small group. You can feel as though the city as a whole is choked with people. However, taking a few steps back and changing your perspective will show you a completely other reality. In essence, we become aware of how insignificant our individual experiences are and how tiny we are in the great scheme of things when we step back and reflect on the grand tapestry of our universe and existence. People frequently fail to recognize that even within their own lives, their own experiences and perspectives aren't the only ones that need consideration. Take, for example, a person who has had a negative experience with dogs. Unless they consciously accept the possibility of different experiences, they may find it difficult to imagine that dogs could be cherished companions to others. It's important to remember that people's experiences and perspectives aren't the only ones that need consideration. This self-examination technique has many advantages. Think about having to decide whether to accept a newly opened position somewhere or keep your current position. Making such a choice could seem difficult, especially if you're not sure which one would help you achieve your goals. Although you are apprehensive of the added duties that come with a promotion and your existing position gives security, the allure of higher pay tempts you. You could feel trapped by this predicament. However, beneath the surface, there are a multitude of unrealized opportunities. Have you considered switching careers entirely or looking into a side business that would be complementary to your current position? Perhaps focusing on a passion will help you divert your attention from less enjoyable duties. It's completely conceivable that you are unaware of a number of uncharted life paths. Making well-informed decisions is greatly aided by adopting a broad perspective rather than focusing only on present issues. Expanding your horizons is beneficial for both setting priorities and forming opinions. It's critical to take into account all angles and options in a situation in order to reach a thorough conclusion. Additionally, taking a step back means removing yourself from personal prejudices and opinions temporarily. Putting aside your desires might give you a new perspective and inspire you to think about the people in your life and your obligations to them. You might view an activity like littering as insignificant in the heat of the moment. The significance of your propensity to litter, in contrast to the sustainability of the planet, becomes vividly obvious when you pause and broaden your viewpoint to consider the totality of the world and the potential implications if everyone followed suit. It has already been established that the Stoics believed that everything in the universe is interconnected and that your own well-being is enhanced by the well-being of the entire world. When you are confronted with a decision, challenge, difficulty, or change in your life, it is essential to take a step back and consider the world as a whole, rather than simply your own life. You can ponder some issues internally. This can be done immediately or later, perhaps while you reflect on your day while taking a bath. The most frequently asked questions are, what potential long-term implications might my choice or action have? How could another person's viewpoint on this be different from mine? Do I know somebody who could help who is in a comparable situation or has goals that are similar to mine? Does my decision or action have an impact on how I feel? Does it have an impact on those who are close to me? Are there any options that I have not yet thought of? It benefits you personally to take the time to think about all facets of the universe, since it makes it easier for you to comprehend your decisions, behaviors, and thoughts. Additionally, it allows you to aid the rest of the world, which benefits both of you. When you take the whole picture into account, you'll always have an overarching perspective that frees you from unwarranted skepticism or restraint. Join our community of Stoic minds by subscribing today to receive timely insights, useful advice, and timeless wisdom from Marcus Aurelius and other luminaries.